Right, we're off to shoot a top 10 summer fragrances video. Nice day for it. So fortunately, I can cycle about 5 minutes away from my house and I am in the gorgeous countryside. So I'm going to find, if I can, a nice quiet little spot. So I think I found the spot. I'm going to shoot down this little lane here. There's a few people walking down now and then, with it being such a nice day, but hopefully not too many. There's my camera set up. I'm going to sit on the white stool there. Hopefully it's going to work out. Okay, here we are at the outdoor location. Camera set up. I'm ready to go. You're ready to go. Top 10 summer fragrances. I gotta say, it feels great to be outdoor shooting again. I usually like to try and do my top 10 summer fragrances from a beach somewhere, but that's not really possible at the moment. We can't travel to a beach. So here I am in the middle of the Yorkshire countryside. So I'm gonna kick off this summer fragrances list with two honourable mentions. And the reason these are honourable mentions is because they are amazing for summer. I love these. They're two of my favourite scents for summer, but I have mentioned them on other summer lists and I wanted to make this list as different as I could really. So the two fragrances I am going to give honourable mentions are, the first one is from Jean-Paul Gaultier. This is my favourite JPG flanker. I think I enjoyed this as much as the original. It's La Malle au Fraiche. So this has the same DNA or similar DNA to the original, so you've got that minty lavender, but it adds some neroli in here and it dials up the mint a little bit. Has like a bubblegum sweetness. It's just a fun, refreshing, sweet fragrance that's very mass appealing. Love wearing it. Performance isn't amazing, but on a nice warm summer's day works a treat. My next honourable mention is again a fragrance that I've had on my summer list before. You'll have seen this on so many people's summer list. It's a great fragrance, that's why it's so popular and we always see this. It's from Dolce & Gabbana, it's Light Blue Eau Intense. And this has some lovely citruses in there, lovely fresh, crispy, clean, refreshing citruses. There's some juniper, so it's got a lovely clean kind of juniper accord as well, and salty marine notes. This hangs around all right for a summer fragrance. It's not the longest lasting, but it's longer than some Fraiches. I have no problem with the performance on a nice warm summer's day. Dolce & Gabbana Light Blue Eau Intense is fantastic. I'll be wearing it a lot this summer, but today in this list it's an honourable mention. So the first one on my list is probably not going to be for everybody. I think a lot of people will say that this is a little too boring, a little too safe, too generic. It's kind of all those things, I agree, but I've been wearing this on warmer days. I'm really enjoying it. From Azzaro, it's the new Wanted Tonic. So yeah, I guess it's safe, it's boring, it's nothing different to what many other blue fragrances do, and a lot of other blue type fragrances probably do better than this one, if I'm honest. But I bought this just to review it, and because I love Wanted by Night. That's one of my favourite designers at the moment, and I thought, you know, if I can have a slightly fresher version of that Wanted DNA that I can enjoy on the warmer days. The only listed notes for this are lime in the top, ginger in the mid, and patchouli in the base. There's definitely some kind of salty marine accord synthetics going on in here, and I like it. It's got a nice marine feel. It's got a little bit of sweetness. Perhaps wouldn't go as far as to say bubblegum sweetness, but it's just got enough sweetness to balance out the kind of the saltiness and the citrus, which I think the lime in this comes off as quite tart. It's definitely not a sweet citrus, but yeah, just a nice underlying layer of sweetness to balance things out. And although musk isn't listed, I feel like in the dry down there's a nice little musky thing going on, which is quite pleasant, and it doesn't project very much. It stays quite close to the skin, but on a hot summer's day when you just want to wear something casual, you want to wear something that feels refreshing, then this works for me and I'll be wearing this through the summer. This will be in my summer rotation, Azzaro Wanted Tonic. All right, we can't have a designer summer list without at least one or two cheapies in here. This is definitely a cheapie, as is everything from Zara. I've had this a little while now. I don't wear it often because performance isn't great, but on the warmer days in summer, I really love the scent DNA of this. From Zara, it's called Soul. So this isn't the newer Soul release. This one, I believe, came out around 2014. I remember smelling it in store and it was actually recommended to me by one of the SAs in Zara as being her favourite, so that was a motivation for me to pick this one up. And the price as well. I think you're paying around £10–12 for a lot of these Zara fragrances. Bottle looks pretty cool, you know, for a really cheapy fragrance. I like the bottle and colour of the juice. That slight blue tinge makes it look nice and refreshing, and it is nice and refreshing. It's similar to my nose to Invictus Acqua, so it's got a little bit of that sweetness in there. It's got those aquatic notes. So this one jumps off the skin. I find Zara fragrances really jump off the skin, certainly in that first hour, a little bit in the second hour of projection, and then they pretty much become a skin scent. And if you want to experience it again, or you want people around you to smell it, you've got to re-spray it. But Soul is a lovely, refreshing, light fragrance that's very affordable that I will have this year in my summer rotation. So big leap in quality now for the next one compared to the previous ones. You can just tell that this is more expensive, it's more potent, it's stronger, better quality materials. We are delving into the Tom Ford Private Blend. This is my favourite of the Tom Ford Blue summery fragrances, and it is Mandarino di Amalfi Acqua. If you love mandarin fragrances, this is an absolute must-have because it almost fizzes. The fruits in here, there's more than just mandarin, but the mandarin is obviously quite prominent, and the quality is fantastic. It smells quite potent. I'm not sure how much more potent than the original Mandarino di Amalfi, the non-Acqua version it is. I haven't compared those two side by side, but this one is lovely, bright and refreshing. It makes me think of sitting on a balcony overlooking the blue Italian coastline whilst eating some citrus fruit or drinking a fruit juice drink. So fruity, citrus, there's actually a little bit of civet listed in here, although I don't really pick up anything animalic in this fragrance. I was surprised when I saw that fragrance note on Fragrantica. Maybe it's not accurate, I'm not sure. Sometimes Fragrantica isn't, but it certainly doesn't smell very animalic. Maybe it's just in there to give it a little bit of weight, a bit of body, a bit of structure and lasting power. If you are thinking of delving into some kind of higher end fragrances, then this line of fragrances, the Acqua versions of them, I can highly recommend. You can pick this up for around £50–60, maybe a little bit cheaper if you're lucky in sales for this 50ml bottle. And if you want to get started on a private blend collection, then worth looking at this one. All right, next one, we are going vintage. Now, this is still available in its current formulation. I haven't smelled the current formulation, so I can't directly compare, but I've been wearing this. I'm really enjoying. I don't think fragrances really are made like this. You can definitely smell the difference in materials before regulations came in from IFRA. This originally was released in 1971. I'm not sure what year this bottle is. It's certainly not the current formulation. From Yves Saint Laurent, it's Pour Homme. So this smells like a real classic masculine cologne, how they used to be done. I think the versions that we get nowadays of these types of fragrances, they kind of have glimmers of their original iterations, but they don't have the depth. They don't seem to quite have the quality. So all the usual suspects that you would expect to find in a very kind of classic cologne style fragrance are here. There's lavender, lemon verbena, lemon, petitgrain. So it does smell very crisp, very clean, very gentlemanly. But what I really like about this, or this vintage version, I'm not sure if this is the same in the current version, but it's got this musky, animalic creaminess. It's almost a little bit naughty, a little bit daring. does have a boldness about it because it's not just this light fleeting citrus fragrance. You've got your citruses which say yes, manly, fresh and clean, and then you've got this animalic depth which just say I'm bold, I'm confident and I'm going to take no shit. So it's quite a powerhouse of a fragrance and I've really been enjoying this. That creamy musky dry down with the citruses still in the background is just beautiful. So I'm sure the current version of this is very much worth buying. I'm just not sure how close to this one it is, but I am definitely going to be wearing a lot of this vintage YSL Pour On through this summer. Okay, we're going over to Chanel for the next one. Now, apologies, this is a fragrance you'll have seen on so many other lists. I know we keep churning the same ones out, but if we love wearing them and this list represents my summer rotation, then you know I'm gonna have the fragrances here that I love wearing. So this is probably one of the definitive modern blue fragrances. It's of course Bleu de Chanel, and this is the EDP. So this sometimes is described as having a shower gelish type smell to it, and I completely get that. It's a nice citrusy, spicy fragrance, but it's a high quality shower gelish type of smell. I'm not using that as a negative, it's just clean and it's got a freshness to it, but it's got a depth as well. So the citruses in here are beautiful in the opening, but as it dries down, I love the warming amber and the mysterious incense that we get in here. I think it's just a really well balanced fragrance, and although it isn't too daring or challenging or complex, it does have a boldness about it. I feel quite confident when I wear this fragrance. I have a brilliant scent memory attached to this actually, because I bought this a couple of years ago when I was just doing a little bit of a mini travel around Europe. So I flew to France, to the Alps. I actually bought it at the airport in Manchester before I flew out to France. So I was in the Alps for a few days. And then I went to meet some friends in Spain, and then I went to Lisbon in Portugal, and then I went down to the south of Portugal to the Algarve. And this fragrance was with me on the journey. I didn't wear it every day, but I wore it on quite a few days. So I've got memories of passing through different airports, the thrill of traveling and meeting people and experiencing new places and new things. And then the holiday ended with me, because I was on my own for a lot of that, and then the holiday ended with me back with my family. And so I associate this scent with the end of that little journey that I had. So very fond memories of wearing this scent, and for me just works every time. Over to Guerlain next, and you probably already know which fragrance I'm going to mention because I've talked about this quite a lot in a few other videos, but this is a cologne. There's the clue. This is a cologne style fragrance, but I think it's got a lovely modern twist to it as well. So it doesn't smell dated in the slightest. It smells interesting and modern. So from the Ideal line, it's L'Homme Ideal Cologne. So we've got some citruses in here. There's some vetiver, and the vetiver to me is beautiful. It smells quite clean, like a clean woody profile, rather than being too dirty or smoky or earthy like sometimes vetiver can be. And then at the heart of all the L'Homme Ideal line is an almond, and the almond provides this kind of creaminess to the fragrance. So mainly what I get from this is like a creamy citrus type of scent. So it definitely gives a little bit of a nod to the classic cologne style smell, but it's very modern at the same time. So really enjoyable to wear. If you want a bright, refreshing fragrance that has a little weight to it, a little density because of this kind of creaminess that is in there due to the almond, then this would be one worth checking out. I get pretty decent performance off this as well. It'll last me for 6-7 hours, which can't grumble at for a fresher style fragrance. And for a cheaper fragrance as well, you can pick this one up for around £25 for the 50ml on Amazon, which isn't too bad. Apologies, because this next one you will also have seen on many other summer lists, but this is new to my collection, so it's now my turn to recommend this fragrance to you finally. From Versace, it's Mano Fraiche. So what can I say about this fragrance that you haven't heard 100 times before? It's fruity, it's woody, it smells good, and it's bloody cheap. Okay, this one is a very, very classy fragrance from a classy house. This is actually the designer house that I own the most fragrances from in my collection. I must have about 10, if not more, from this house. I am talking about Dior, and this one is Dior Homme Cologne. When I smell this, I am sitting by a blue ocean drinking a fresh, chilled glass of orange juice. That's what it makes me think of. There isn't any orange in this, but orange blossom is there, so maybe that's why I'm getting the orangey vibe. Dior Homme Cologne to me just smells crisp and clean. That's pretty much what it is, but it's done so well. It lasts. I get good performance off this. It doesn't last as long as some other fragrances, but I get reasonable performance. It stands out a little bit from the rest of the Homme line from Dior because a lot of them have this powdery, lipsticky iris running through them. So Dior Homme Parfum, Dior Homme, Dior Homme Intense, even Dior Homme Eau, they all have that iris note, and I don't know if iris is in here, but I certainly don't detect any, so you're not going to get that. So it is a little bit different. It's doing its own thing. It's got its own distinctive character within that line, which is why I thought it was worthy of adding to my collection. Also, George the Fragrance Apprentice was raving about this, so I thought I had to get a piece of the action, and I'm very glad I did. I'm loving my DHC. All right, the number 2 spot is a fragrance that I had at number 1 at one point. I did do a last minute shuffle around of this list. I love all the 10 fragrances here, so you know there's not that much difference between them. But this one in particular I've not had for that long. I did have a sample a couple of years back, absolutely loved it, so I bought a bottle from the house of Prada. It's Prada L'Homme L'Eau. So this takes that DNA from Prada L'Homme, which is this comforting powdery iris, and it just lightens things up, freshens things up a little bit more. There's some neroli in here. Lemon isn't listed, but something about this makes me feel like I get a little bit of citrus, which is great because it makes it feel quite bright and refreshing. So the brighter elements of this fragrance combined with the comforting powdery iris notes in here just balance everything really well. Makes it quite a versatile fragrance. I think really you could wear it. I think there's enough in here to be able to wear this all year round. I think it would even work in the winter perhaps, especially if you're indoors during the winter. It's definitely not quite as thick and heavy as the original Prada L'Homme, but it's not far off. I love the powdery quality to this Prada L'Homme line, and this has that lovely powdery iris. It's not too floral, it's not, as we say, too lipsticky or feminine at all. It's beautifully done. This is a very refined, gentlemanly, well put together fragrance, and I think I actually prefer this one to the original Prada L'Homme. So if you want something modern smelling, gentlemanly, refined, very mass appealing and very satisfying to wear, I would love to point you in the direction of Prada L'Homme L'Eau. So my number 1 for summer is number 1 because it's so different to all the other fragrances on this list. When I bought this earlier this year, I didn't think I was going to enjoy it so much. It's the new flanker in the 1 million line. It's 1 million Parfum. So this is quite a heavy fragrance compared to the rest of them, and shock horror for a fragrance on a summer list. It's got leather in it, although it's not a sharp leather like you'd find in something like Tuscan leather. I think it's just adding depth and body to the fragrance. But what I love about this is this salty tuberose that it has in there. And it reminds me of holidays. It reminds me of being in summer sunny destinations on holiday, because it has this accord that reminds me of rubbing sunscreen or sun cream into slightly sweaty warm skin. Now I know that sounds a bit grim, but that's actually a smell that I have very positive associations with, and it's, you know, the smell of sun cream and the smell of warm skin. It just reminds me of being on holiday. It's actually very nice. I don't know if I'm selling it to you, but it's actually a really lovely accord. It's also listed as having solar accords in here, which I guess is a collection of synthetic accords to represent kind of warmth and sun. We've got the fruitiness that we find in the original 1 million. You definitely do get a bit of the 1 million DNA in here, but it's not quite as gourmand as that. I think it is fruitier to me anyway. So I love the fact that we've got a little bit of a heavier, darker fragrance that for me personally, maybe not for everyone, but for me personally, this one works really well in the warmer weather. But when I would wear this the most, I'd have a cheeky couple of sprays during the day, but the time of day when it would excel for me would be in the evening time. So you've been in the sea, you've been in the swimming pool, you've had your shower, you've got your nice clothes on, and you're going out in the evening for some drinks or for some nice food, so it's a little bit cooler. You can get away with something a little heavier. Paco Rabanne's 1 million Parfum is a winner in that situation. So as is tradition with my videos, I wear my number one. It's a lovely hot day. This is one of the hottest days we've had so far. Summer is here. I am going to spray 1 million Parfum. You know, it just works. It works. It's a lovely alternative to the classic fresh fragrances that you might normally wear, or the blue marine aquatic fragrances that you would wear during the summer. So for that reason, I love it. It's my number one. I'd love to hear from you guys actually. What is your go-to number one summer fragrance that never lets you down? I would love to hear what that is. So that's it from me. Thank you for joining me for another video. I hope you enjoyed it. I hope you found it useful. Remember, keep tuning into FM and keep smelling good. That's a wrap. Hope you liked the outdoor shoot. Let me know if you did. If you didn't, sod ya. Don't know about you, but it all felt a bit flat to me. Started to set off cycling home, flat tyre. Serves me right for stopping to take footage of horse shit.